Welcome to our Scratch Day 2. So if you remember on our first day, we made an animation using pretty simple blocks to deal with. We also gave you a bit of homework. We reviewed that in class for Day 2. But for today, we're going to be doing an apple catch game. So let's get started. So you're going to learn how to use if and else statements, control sprites with arrow keys, make a scoring system, and make your first actual game. So on our next slides, we have the blocks that we used. I'm not going to explain all of them right now. I'll explain them as I'm coding, but these are the blocks in case you were wondering. And then we have our code. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. All right, I'm going to go to scratch.mit.edu, log into your account. I'm already logged in, so I won't need to do that. Okay, you're just going to click create. You can name this whatever you want. I'm going to name it apple catching. And now I'm going to choose my sprites and my background. Okay. So as we said before, this is a sprite. You can move it with your cursor. Okay. We're going to delete this sprite and we're going to add our apple and our background. Okay. So when we click choose a sprite, apple usually appears. If it doesn't, you can search it here. And then we have our sprite, which is the apple. Next, we're going to choose our background. You can choose any background you want for this one. I'm just going to choose the simple blue sky. And this is what I'm going to be working with. We also need one more sprite, which is the bowl. And the bowl is what's going to catch the apples. We're going to add the bowl. The bowl also appears over here. You can also search it up. Okay. So now we have our bowl, the apple, and we have our background. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually edit the character of the bowl. So you're going to click on the bowl and then go to the costumes. Okay. And you're going to make it a bit larger because as you can see, the bowl is much smaller than the apple right now. So we're going to click on this, click on the bowl, right? Or highlight the entire thing and then expand it from the bottom left corner. Make it bigger. You can make it as big as you want. I'm going to leave it around this big and this wide. So that's going to be my bowl. Yep, you can edit it how you want, but this is how I'm going to keep mine right now. That gets saved automatically. So now we have our bowl, we have our apple, we have our background. We're first going to start with the apple code. Make sure you're clicked on the apple so that you're coding for the apple. This should also appear in the top right of your editor. The first block we're going to be using is the when clicked. As we all know, this is what starts the program first. I'm going to actually make this bigger so it's easier for you to see. So the first block we're going to use is when clicked. Next, we're going to set y to 180. So if you remember last time, we talked about x and y, okay? Y is up and down axis, and the x is the left and right, okay? When we set y to 180, it brings the apple to the top of the screen like it's falling down. So let's press this, and the apple goes to the top of the screen. So every time we want the apple to fall from the top of the screen, okay? So when clicked, we want the apple to go to 180. If we drag it here, if we click it, it'll go somewhere to the top. Okay. Next, we're going to have go to random position. So what this does is it goes to a random position at the Y180 every single time. So we can drag our apple down here, goes to a random. Okay, actually what we're going to do is put the random position before 180. And yep, that's how it should work. The apple should be at a random position at the axis 180, okay? So as we click this, it goes to a random position at 180. Even if we drag it down, it will go up, okay? Next, we're gonna add a forever loop. We talked about this last time. A forever loop allows the program to go on forever, okay? We need the forever loop because we need the apple to come down forever and you can get points, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do inside this forever loop is change y, okay? So change y by. So we can keep this 10 for now, right? So what this is going to do, change y by 10, meaning it's positive right now, right? We actually want it to be negative so that the animation can be like the apples falling down from the screen. So change this to negative, and if we run this, the apple will go to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so that's basically that. But now once it reaches the bottom of the screen, we want it to go circle back to the top and keep on falling. We want it to be in a forever loop, right? So here's where it kind of gets a bit confusing, but it's okay. So you're gonna take this if and then block, okay? Put it inside the forever loop under the change y by. Next, you're gonna go to the sensing tab, or rather the operators tab, and you're gonna grab this block, okay? Right here. You're gonna grab the less than block. So you're gonna say if something is less than something, then we want it to do. Then we want it to go back to the top. So let's say if the apple position is less than, let's say the bottom is about like negative like 170, right? So once it reaches that, we want it to go back up. So we'll say if the apple position is less than negative 170, so we have to type that in here. And what we're going to do is actually go back to the motion section and drag the block that says Y position. So we're saying if the Y position of the apple, meaning how up or down it is, if the Y position is less than negative 170, then we want to do something. In order for it to circle back to the top, we're going to do the same thing we did up here. What we're going to do is go to random position and set Y to 180. To 180. Now, if we run this, our apple is coming down from the screen, and every time it reaches this Y position of negative 170, it goes back to the top to a random position and sets it to 180. So that's how we're going to make our apple fall down forever. From here, Devansh will take the code of the bowl. Make sure to click the bowl to be on that code.
Okay. Host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, I'll fix that. Okay.
Okay. All right. So Arnav left us off over here, and it's falling randomly from the sky. And you're supposed to try to catch it with the bowl. So now we're going to actually code the motion of the bowl. So I'm going to stop this. So right now we were at the apple. So now over here, if you can see sprites, you're going to click on bowl. Now we're going to add movement to the bowl, since right now the bowl's just over there still. So once again, we need a when green flag is clicked. And now we're going to add a forever block. So in this forever, as you know, it just goes on forever. So we're going to add a if. We're going to add two if blocks because we're going to use the arrow keys for this. So if I click the left arrow key, the bowl should go to the left. And if I click the right arrow key, it should go to the right. Now, to code that, what we're going to do is get two of these if blocks and put them right underneath each other. So the next block that we're going to be needing is in the sensing. So in sensing, it should say when this key space is pressed. So we're going to drag two of those in here. Now for one of them, as you know, we're going to make it right arrow. So it should say right here, up arrow, down arrow, right, left. Let's do right first. And for the second one, we're going to make it left. Okay, so once we actually like guess and check this. The best working like bowl movement would be -20 and +20 like pixels. So that's the perfect movement. So over here we're gonna do change X. We're gonna do change X, and we're gonna change this to 20. Because as you know, when you make X larger, it goes to the right. If you decrease X, it will start going to the left. So for the left, we're gonna add another change X, and we're gonna make it negative. So it starts decreasing and going in the other direction. So this is the movement of the ball. We're gonna try it out. Click the green flag, and now if I click the left arrow, it will start going to the left. If I click the right arrow, it will go to the right. Make sure you also position your bow, because if you leave it up here, it will start working up here. So you're just gonna position it right down here. So currently it's not using any scoring system, and Sid will explain that, which is the last part of this code.
Okay, so now I'm gonna share my screen and you guys should see it now. So Devansh left us off over here. And right now we could leave our code like this because our code is pretty fun. We are adding we are having our ball move around with the apples falling, but let's add some scoring so we actually have a way to keep track of how many we have and make it act more fun. So first of all, we have to take our when green flag is clicked because that's the start of every code. And now we're going to do something that that is a bit more confusing. So we're going to click on variables, and once it's the orange dot over here, and near the top of variables, you're going to see make a variable. So we're going to be making our own variable here, and the variable is going to be called score because that's going to be the name of the score that we're going to do. So now that you've done that, you can do set. It'll say set my variable to 0, but if you just click on this, it'll say score. So now that you've done that, you'll see a little scoreboard popped up here. But if we run our program now, you're going to see my score doesn't change, and that's because we need to do a part of our code which says once the apple touches our bowl, increase the score by 1. So the way we're going to do that is first by going to the control section, getting a forever block, and then we're going to get a if and then block. And now we're going to the sensing section. And this is mainly for if something is touching this or if this something like that is happening. So we're going to take if touching, and it'll say mouse pointer. So just drag that here. But we have to change this, and we're going to change it to the apple because we want when the apple touches our bowl, then make the score go up. So once we've done that, we're just going to go to the final part. So we're going to go in variables. We're going to change my variable by 1, go in the dot, go into the triangle, change it to score. And now our code should be completed. So if we run our program, I'm pretty bad at this, but as you can see, every time the apple is touching your code, your apple is your bowl, it's increasing it by 1. So as you can see, my score is going up very rapidly. And the reason because of that is when the apple touches your bowl, it's not going to be there for just like 1 second. It's going to keep being there for a couple seconds. And that's why it's going up so much. So every time I go on the apple, the longer I go on it, the more my score will go up. So if you wanted to, you could add that. This is the end of the program. So now we are going to wrap it up, and I'll give it back to Arnav. So.
Okay, so we finished our apple catching game. Hopefully this was pretty fun. You learned a lot of new blocks along the way. We'll be wrapping it up from here. If you have any questions, you can email us. If you still have difficulties, we can set up a time to meet. Just email. And that's pretty much it. Goodbye, everyone.